What's going on, everyone? So, the upcoming Scream 7 has a lot of news, a lot of rumors, a lot of potential spoilers coming out. This isn't really like a spoiler. Just going to be talking about a location change. Now, obviously, Ghostface and where he's going to be targeting, right? Like you see a lot of the promotions, like when it was New York, right? Taking on the Big Apple. Ghostface takes Manhattan, all of that. We've gotten, Woodsboro 3 times. We've gotten New York once. We've gotten Windsor College in Ohio. We've gotten LA in Scream 3, right? So we've had, several key locations. You've gotten Los Angeles, you've got New York, you've got Ohio, right? And then, of course, Woodsboro. So you've gotten from the small town to the big city. And this upcoming Scream movie is no different. This upcoming Scream movie is supposed to take place, it looks like, based on kind of rumors, again, take everything with a grain of salt, but it's looking like, based on the rumors that have came out, that this is going to take place in several locations, but that we are getting a new city, that this is going to primarily take place in a new city, which leads me to believe a couple things, right? So Scream 6 was in New York. Scream 5 was, again, in Woodsboro. However, we saw, if this is going to be a Sidney-led movie, and this is going to take place centered around Sidney Prescott, I imagine we're going to get New York a little bit again, right? Because Gail is going to, unless she's already out of New York, but you got to imagine that Chad is probably going to be, he's in this film, but he's probably leaving New York, and then same thing with Gail. So you're going to have Gail and Chad in this film, so you got to imagine that New York is going to be there at some part, in some capacity, right? Will we actually get like shots of like New York City? I don't know about that. It might just be like, they might just reuse like the subway set or something, and he's on his way to the next city. Well, in Scream 5, we saw Sidney, and she was in Seattle. So my guess is that's where this film is going to primarily take place. That I think we might get a couple, like, just, like I said, some more New York. New York might be around. You might get a little, scenic view of that. But beyond that, I think you're going to get this film taking place a lot in Seattle. Because again, if this film is going to take place and be centered around Sidney and her family, then that's where it is. Originally, we all thought it was Chicago, just based on where like they filmed and stuff. But no, supposedly it's in like Seattle. That's where Sidney is apparently living. Unless they have her like living elsewhere, it's very possible she could have moved or whatever. Right? There's also supposed to be like a little bit of a time jump. So you're talking even from Scream 5, it'd be 5-6 years, something like that. Potentially, depending on the time jump and all that stuff, right? So it's very possible, and it would make a lot of sense that that she could be still in the same city, or you could have her move to another city. Maybe she is in Chicago, or maybe she's in Portland, or whatever, right? So I'm curious to see what direction they go, but location is important. And something that I've talked about, that I liked that they did in Scream 6 was, especially when we found out that they were doing like Blackmore College and stuff, and I was like, uh-oh, right? Like, because that's a big concern, right? Like, we've seen Scream in the past do these locations and do in different cities, but you didn't get to see any part of the cities, right? Like, like in Scream 3, what did you really get to see outside of like studio? Like everything's been always very confined, right? Everything's always been like in a bit of a box, right? And it's like, like especially like the college scene and stuff. It's like, how many kids actually stay on campus all day? Like, like most of the time you're going to parties or, the local hangout spot or bars, or there's events going on. Like, it is very like boom, 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 right? Like you're constant, you have so much going on, that you're almost never on campus unless you need some quiet and you're trying to do a report or something. Even then, it's probably not the best place. You're probably in your dorm at that point, right? Like, so to me, it's like, and even Los Angeles, like, let's use different areas, right? Like, and then we got Scream 6, and I thought that like, you saw the bodega, right? You got the subway. You got key moments and key kind of pieces, right? They were on a college campus, so you got to see the college campus, but then they were at a party, right? Well, guess what you do in college? You go to parties, right? And then not only are they at a party, but they're here, they're there, right? Like, it wasn't as confined in a box. right? It was more spread out. You had more opportunity. And that's really what I want to continue to see. Wherever they end up doing this, I'd like to see kind of some creativity. Like I loved the bodega scene, right? I've been very critical of Scream 6. I'm disappointed that the only people to die in the movie were the people in the bodega scene, but right? Like but I look at kind of like what they did in Scream 6 and I like that. Right? Like Ghostface was out and about and taking people out and targeting Sam and Tara in public. Right? Like it wasn't something that like was always like behind closed doors and in a box. It was, Ghostface is over here, now he's over here, now he's over here, now he's over here. And you had all these like different points and key moments. I really appreciated that. And I want them to continue to do that, right? Whatever they end up doing, you're going to have a high school, they're going to be in high school and a high school campus and all that stuff, right? Like, I'd like to see, like, Scream 96 made sense, right? You got to see them at school. They're high school kids, they're at school. Not only are they at school, but then you got to go to different locations, different houses. You had a police station, you had this, you had that. But it was also a small town, right? So there aren't as many places and things that you can get into and do, right? Like you're a lot more limited than a New York or an LA, but you look at like Scream 3 with LA and it's like it was all confined. It was all just like houses or studio lots. And it's just like, you could have done some creativity, right? Like have Ghostface running down Hollywood Boulevard chasing somebody, getting ready to kill him, right? Like if you've ever been down Hollywood Boulevard, that wouldn't really be that strange, right? Like, nobody would bat an eyelash. Everyone would just be like, oh, that's funny, huh? And like, stuff like that. You can be creative. So wherever this location is, I really want them to be creative. Like Scream 2 in particular, like I mentioned, it was at a college. Like the entire film was shot at the college. It's like none of these people ever go anywhere. Like, is anyone that wrote this or thought of this, have they ever been to college? Like, like, again, there's so many things going on. Like, yeah, you had the frat party, but again, like, you're almost never on campus. Ever. Right? There's always something going on, some type of rally, some type of, show or event, or one of the local bars or whatever is doing something, in the area, or, there's like the local hangout spot that everyone goes to, and, everyone's trying to mingle and have a great night and all of that. Get my drift? Like, it's just, I wanted to explore that more. And I like that you saw that in Scream 6. I felt like Scream 6 did a better job of keeping it more realistic, so to speak. Right? And I want Scream 7 to kind of continue to follow suit. Whatever location you decide to do it at and however you decide to approach it, I don't want it to be so confined unless there's like reasoning behind it, right? Like everyone's trapped somewhere or something, right? Or like they get secluded in a cabin because Sidney gets attacked and everyone goes up to this cabin or something, right? Whatever. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Kind of mixed in the middle. Do you agree? Do you want to see various locations, various spots, wherever they end up at? Are you okay with it being kind of like in a box? However you feel, love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel. What are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.